Ready. Hear me all right?
Yeah.
Ready. Oh, man. Ooh.
Look at that beautiful son of a bitch right there.
Marianne, he's talking to you. I had to look at the first name I saw.
Oh, yeah, I should probably share this out to somebody, huh?
Oh, yeah, true. I was just actually talking to some people. I was just actually messaging, letting a few people know. So,
Yeah, trouble and troubled. All right.
hold on, there we go. Thing's being stubborn right now. Ready.
Get in here.
Hello.
Yeah.
Welcome.
It has been a day. I was not prepared.
You were not prepared, huh? Sorry to hear that.
It's been one of those days.
I hear you.
What's going on?
All right. Gotta make sure that my tripod doesn't tip over. I've got a tripod for my phone, but like the weight of the phone is too heavy for the tripod, so I have to like angle it on something so it doesn't tip over.
Mine's on one of them ring light things, but the cat tries to knock ours down all the time. So if it goes tumbling, just know it's kitty kitty.
I got a message from Marianne like an hour ago. She's like, "Aren't you guys supposed to be live? Did I miss it?" I was like, "Relax,
Oh,
Marianne.
yeah.
I'll make sure you're here.
Yeah, we're going. Yeah, we're going later than we normally do.
Just a little bit
I
late.
was
That's
actually
all."
thinking that same thing.
Yeah, and we ended
Earlier
up not
today,
even
it
going
said
to church. We
6:59,
had
and I'm like, oh crap.
we ended up not even going to church. We had a close friend of the family / family member that was in the hospital, so we ended up doing that instead. So it's just been one thing after another today. But
Sorry to hear that. Hope everything's okay.
yeah, I think she's good.
All right, let's get this train going. Amy, introduce yourself, and then Jeffrey, do the same.
I am Amy Lucille. Normally I write middle grade fantasy. Did just write a YA fantasy for Stephanie James Publishing, though. Either way, it stays with the younger group, and it's your turn, Tim.
Oh, okay. I was making sure you were done just in case. Because my thing was just acting up. It was glitchy earlier, so I was making sure it still wasn't doing it. Hey, everybody. I'm Jeffrey Harris, and the author of my latest book, Melvin's Labyrinth, sci-fi, psychological, emotional thriller, available on Zon. You can get it on paperback, Kindle Unlimited. Also, I normally go live on Sundays, Mondays, and Wednesdays. So any authors out there who would like to be interviewed sometime in the near future, get up with me or Clarence Carter, and we'll take care of it.
I probably should have said that too. I also do a front porch spotlight on Tuesday nights. Anybody that's interested in being spotlighted, there is a form in one of the branches of my magical tree. Fill it out. I'll get you on the schedule.
I have been spotlighted. I have been spotlit. The ladies that you do that show with are wonderful, by the way. I would love to come back
We're
and
a
do it
lot
again.
together. The three of us together are a lot. Fair warning. Anybody, fair warning.
It
Yeah,
was great, though. It was a lot of fun because they were like quick-witted, very sharp with the questions. I liked it.
I love KC to death, and Charmin. Charmin was literally our earthly angel. She is who did the cover on book one, and just I don't know, kind of took us under her wing and taught us everything she knows. So she taught me how to format. She taught me all about Atticus. She taught me graphic design things with Canva. She's taught me so much.
Yeah, those ladies seem great. Everybody's asking about my wife. My wife is the celebrity. I am not nearly as popular as she is. Yes, she's here, and she will pop in at some point, I'm sure, to harass me. But until then, let's get down to business. We have a lot to talk about. Particularly, I wanted to start with the Stephanie James stuff. Welcome to the family, both of you, really. The Marlowe Rose. Fantastic title, by the way. I don't even know where that... I haven't read it yet, but I'll get to it. It's just...
It's from a major part of the story that I couldn't tell you without ruining part of the story. So,
Sure. So, my first question is, how did you get here? I might have asked you that before, but how did you get involved in the Stephanie James rabbit hole?
she approached me a couple of months ago about joining the Interconnected series, and I told her if I wasn't, writing book 2 and got 2 novellas in the works and all these things, if I wasn't so busy, I would love to. I absolutely would love to. She said her exact words were, "That's okay because I'm persistent and I'm patient." And she was not wrong. She approached me again, and at that point, I was like, you know what? I want to do this. I need a break from all the little sunshine and rainbows, and I want to do this. And this absolutely was the most fun I've had writing, doing this. This is the fastest that I've wrote anything. I was done with this in like a month and a half. But it just, whether it's just because I needed the break or whatever it was, it just flowed. I read Liam's Through the Rift, and I read the Back 40. I had forgotten the author of that. That's terrible. But anyways, Back 40, then Through the Rift. And it literally, the very last sentence of Through the Rift had a female's name, where Liam is talking about, Liam is the author, obviously. He says, the character, the main male character says something to the effect of, "I hope it never pulls me back in. I wish it would pull somebody else in, like Juliet or another one." There was 2 female names because they're smarter, or I don't know, something like that. But I had gone all the way through this book, and that name stood out for whatever reason. And that's where I branched off, was the very last sentence.
Nice. Very cool. And we can't avoid talking about Crossroads a little bit. Jeff, your book has gone off to her, right? Off to Stephanie? Hey, you're still muted there, bub.
I forgot I put on mute because he's out there working in the shop, so I didn't, But yeah, I sent it off late last night. I think she got it.
Good. Do you have a time frame yet, or
Of what?
of when it's going to come out? Did she give you any dates or?
I don't. I have no idea. Sorry.
Pretty fast, so.
She does. She works really fast.
I didn't say nothing. I didn't ask her or anything. I just sent it to her, and I told her. The only thing I actually asked of her was to whoever edits to basically make a notification on how much editing they had to do behind me, because, like I said, I've been really determined with my editing lately, trying to master it. So I'm hoping that they went behind and said, "Hey, I didn't have to do anything to it." So
awesome. Fantastic. So tell us what you can about the Marlowe Rose. I feel like I'm interviewing Jeff, but he's like the co-host now. So
basically,
gotten all the spotlight, Jeff. Get out of here. No, I'm just kidding.
Basically, Through the Rift brings out the land of Lanavaria in Liam's book, and he touches on several things in Lanavaria, that it's a fae world. He brings out the dynamic of that world, where there's 4 siblings that run this world. But he doesn't go into a lot of detail. So that was kind of neat because I was able to go into the detail. So basically I jumped off of the end of it and with Juliet, and Juliet is a 19-year-old girl who has been raised by her grandparents because her parents were tragically unalive when she was very small. She has grown up in the theater called the Marlowe Theater. Mm-hmm. And their last name's Marlowe. I probably should have added that. Sorry. And then one night something happens that lets her know things are not exactly like she thought growing up. And she also ends up in Lanavaria. And then it goes from there.
Awesome. I can't wait to read it. It sounds like it'll be fantastic. Uh-oh. I don't know what I did, but anyway, I want to talk a little bit about craft while we're still, making sense before it gets too off the rails. Pantser or plotter?
Pantser, all the way.
That's That's what I thought. I had a
I
feeling.
couldn't plot if I tried. I really could not. I use Charmin's books. Charmin that does the lives with me. She has these amazing workbooks. She has them in different genres. I have her general one and her fantasy one. I've used both. I use those to keep track so I don't forget things, like especially like names in a place called Lanaboria. That's a little difficult. So I do that, but outlines not having.
Do you remember
Literally
roughly the
did
word?
not know how this story was going to end until I got to the last chapter.
Yeah, I understand that. I completely know what that's like. Do you remember how long the Marlowe Rose was? Like word count?
22,000, 23,000. It is 183 pages.
183. That's not bad. I feel like all of the books, at least all the ones that I've read, are relatively small. Even Ruin is pretty small.
Yeah.
And from what I gather, Crossroads is a little bit longer than Ruin, but not that much.
Crossroads is probably the second to the third shortest book in series.
Really?
I left a lot of loose ends on purpose because I want to see if anybody would go back and take some of these flows and and I did it intentionally to keep the story so we can actually make the story go outwards more. So it's kind of like a tree, the branches off into different segments. So I made up some different storylines and such, but yeah, I kept it. I was afraid to add too much more because I was afraid I'd go over the limit because I've never been able to fully write something without being over 200-300 pages. So I was stressed writing it because I was worried, oh man, I'm going to overdo it. I know it. But no. But at the same time, I felt like, man, I could have put more. But at the same time, it's one of those, you know what, I'm going to leave it alone. And because I felt like if I started adding more, there's a good chance we can make that book go off the rail a bit. So I figured, let's just leave it alone. Because there's a good chance I could have damaged it. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, that was probably the most difficult part was the word count, trying to keep it around 23,000 because even my middle grade fantasy are like 32K, one of them's 32K, one of them's, I don't know, I forget, something close to that.
I'm not sure.
So
I think mine went into 28,000.
Yeah.
I think it was 28,000, somewhere roughly around. Between 27 to right at, I think, 29,000. But yeah. So I was like, you know what? Just in case.
Well, I'm so used to you writing these gigantic doorstops, I assumed that's what you did. Melvin's Labyrinth is... Yeah.
And the thing is, it scared me doing Crossroads. I actually read the whole book, hour and a half editing, 2 hours. And I'm like, oh my God, this is too short. But then when I went back and read it again the second time, because I had some other ideas, I said, you know what, I can squeeze in some good stuff. And then I started thinking as I was reading, I said, no. Something kept telling me, leave it alone. Because I've always heard horror stories of people going back thinking, yeah, let's add this on there just in case. And then all of a sudden they made it go, oops. It kind of, like so many people like, man, it was really good. I really loved it. But then I felt like there was too much going on. So I'm like, you know what? Let's just listen to my voice and we'll see if I'm right when everybody reads it and see what people tell me. If they tell me it was too short, should have went further, then the lesson learned. If people tell me, hey, aces, then we know I did good.
I figured worst case scenario, if mine was too short, I could tag on to the end of it again.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if Stephanie was to contact me and says, hey, put about another 40 pages in there, can you do that? Yeah, no problem at all. I mean, it wouldn't bother me. I can do it. I just wanted to be careful and make sure I send it off. And, my first time going through her, I didn't want her to be like, oh, my God, he went overboard. He gave me a 230-page book. Oh, Lord. So, yeah.
Oh, fair enough. I also wanted to talk a little bit about your other work. I'm trying to remember, was it Soapbox Sally?
Soapy
I was
Sally.
actually going to talk to her about Soapy Sally, correct?
Soapy Sally.
It's Soapy Sally and the Cousin Crew. The first one, they're all the same at the beginning. Soapy Sally and the Cousin Crew something. Soapy Sally and the Cousin Crew, this is Legacy.
So I can show everybody.
Bubble Fox
Oh,
Hollow.
look at that cover. That's adorable.
Yeah.
This is the one Charmin did for me. This is Return to Bubble Fox Hollow. I also had the Marlowe Rose. I probably should have said that one too. That's got a flare on it. But anyway, this is the companion activity book for book 1. This is the companion activity book for book 2. And we have a Halloween in Bubble Fox Hollow coming the first week of September, and Christmas in Bubble Fox Hollow coming around Black Friday.
Oh, nice. So
When
for
you,
this, oh, go ahead.
oh, go ahead. No, go ahead, Clarence. Clarence, go ahead, because I'm
I
gonna.
was just going to ask where Soapy Sally came from. If there was a particular
Yeah,
idea.
it was initially based on an old Appalachian folk tale about Soap Sally. Soap Sally was horrendous. She was awful and terrible, and she turned kids into soap. Yeah, Miles is helping me out here. She was an old soap maker in the Appalachian Mountains that was rumored to, yeah, what he said. I don't know how to edit that one, so yeah, what he said. It was usually unruly children that weren't listening, and then she would turn around and it was rumored she would turn around and sell the soap back to the parents. The the folktale went through people's families in different ways, but it usually personified into something. Um, in our family, it personified into a fox skull, like you wear around your neck.
Mhm.
Um, and my children's grandmother tormented them, absolutely tormented them when they were little. They were all terrified of this thing. She had been convinced that when they slept at her house, if they'd been unruly, if they had misbehaved, that she would come out in the middle of the night and bite their toes off. Soap Sally lived on a shelf in a dark closet. Put it this way, my next to oldest son is 30. How old is mine? Oh, 34, something like that. When he found out I was writing this book, he said, Mama, please don't write about that. You're going to scare all these little kids to death. Please don't write about it. But when she was passing, she passed me down the actual fox skull, which is horrifying. I keep it put up yeah, it's bad. And she said, change the story on this. She said, I scared my grandkids to death. I don't want to do that with my great grandkids. Change the story. And I put it up on a shelf, didn't touch it for a long time. And several months after she passed, it just little bits and pieces started coming to me. And it started out, it was supposed to be a picture book about like character traits for kids. And it just kept growing and growing and growing. And now we're 4 books in. So, but we changed the name to Soapy Sally because, would you stay out of the peanut gallery, please, sir? Thank you. We changed Miles Cooper. I am not even playing with you. I'm going to tell them that if you will let me talk. We changed the name to Soapy Sally because if there were parents that knew the legend of Soap Sally, I didn't want them to think I had written about this horrible, terrifying creature. And I put a note in the beginning, a note to the letter to the parents in the beginning of book 1, telling them that this is not it. That's not what this is about. Miles did come up with most of the ideas. He wants everybody to know that, and he's telling the truth. He is my little muse. When I would get stuck, I would brainstorm with him, and he would break me out of it and say, "Let's go this way." Then my granddaughter got into it with book 2 and wanted to help out, and so I literally couldn't have done it without them. I write with them. When I put them as my co-authors, that's not just throwing their names on there. They did as much as I did.
Awesome. Beautiful. You were going to jump in there for a second, Jeff. Did you lose your train of thought?
Oh no! She kind of answered some of it for me, so that's actually pretty good. Yeah. What else do you have planned in the future that you would write? Are you going to stick with child stories, or do you have any? Just
I would really like to do another one for Stephanie James. I don't know whether that would be branching off of that particular line or another line. I don't do horror. I don't read horror. I don't write horror. I don't know if I could. Thriller, maybe. Horror, I don't know. With Bubble Fox Hollow, I want that series to grow with the kids. Like in book 2, they had aged up a year. Book 3, they will age up a little more. The 5 kids are based on my grandchildren. The cousin crew are based on my actual grandchildren. And so, and they are exactly the ages that they are. So I want it to age with them. I want it, even though it started out, like especially the first one was for very small children, I want by the time we're done for it to grow into older children.
The pictures that you do have pictures in these books, correct? I
On
hadn't
the
had a chance
chapter.
to look through it. Do you have a? Oh, sorry about that. Do you have anybody that makes the pictures for you, or do you do any of this art on the side?
Book one, most of the ones in book one, this is one of them. Sharman did. Sharman did the character art for the cousins, Soapy Sally and Sniffles. But then she started teaching me on Canva how to do some of the graphic art. That usually consisted of me attempting it and then sending it to her and saying, "Fix this. Something's wrong with it. Fix it." But she's still teaching me, and I'm still listening, and I'm still learning more. So yeah, it usually just grayscale pictures at the beginning of each chapters, and it's usually very simple pictures. But yeah, I figured at that age they want something to look at. They want some kind of visual in there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was just curious on how you did the art because sometime in the near future, I don't know when I'll do it. It'll be sometime before I do it because it's going to take a lot to do it. But my mom used to write when I was a little kid, and some of her stories was based on me and my uncle. And I think she did a few based with my sister because when she was writing this, it was right before my sister was born. But I do believe she picked up and started writing again when my sister was born and threw a character in for her. I'm trying to remember what I was in the story. I can't remember if I was the rabbit or what was the other one. There was a rabbit. I think there was a squirrel. I think there was a deer. I'm trying to remember everything. It's been a while since I've read it. I think I was the rabbit and I think my uncle was the bear. I think he was a bear. And it was an adventure of Jeff and Jerry, I think is what, because that was his name, that mine, of course, Jeff. And I think she kept our names, and we were adventurous animals going through the woods, surviving different encounters. And it was really fascinating. And she never really finished a lot. A lot of this was just her. She wasn't really writing to send it off. This was just something she was doing on her spare time, something to do. And I went through some of the notebook, and I'm like, man, I could go back through this and make a series for her. And I'm thinking about doing that sometime in the near future.
Yeah. A lot of it can be done on Canva. I imagine with a full picture book, you might run into a little difficulty with that, but a lot of it can be. The only rule with Canva is that it has to be changed. Anything you use on their site has to be changed at least 30%, which I change it ridiculously. Like mine, it very rarely ends up looking like what I started with. But yeah, a lot of it can be done. And like I said, I'm learning more and more. Maybe more can be done. I don't know. But yeah.
We're actually using some Canva for the super secret project right now. And we're all brainstorming. And it can be quite difficult, is what I'll say about that. I don't want to spoil too much on the super secret project. Every time I bring it up, I get interrogated for like an hour after the show. Marianne and Brenda are like holding my head underwater, like, "Tell me the secret! Tell it to me!" It's a lot, actually. So we're not going to dive too far into that tonight, but it's going great.
Yeah, I love Canva, but sometimes I want to throw it across the room, but sometimes it works.
Yeah.
I've heard everybody say the same thing. It's easy to use at times, and then there's complications. Then there's times where you can get very tested. So I'm like, oh.
If you're going to use it with any kind of heavy use, I definitely recommend going with the pro version and not trying to do it with the free basic version because it limits you a lot. But I mean, it's like $15 a month. It's not, too bad. That's the one thing I insist on always having the pro version of is Canva because I use it way too much.
Yeah, it's a good tool. So any authors that are looking for something, it's a good tool to have. I have it as well. I'm not as proficient in it as some other people are, but I use it to what little ability I can, I guess.
Yeah, Charmin can work magic with it. It's unreal the things she can do with Canva.
Okay.
Right now,
sometime in the near future.
Right now, Shay is the genius behind the Canva for our little group.
Well, Shay's an amazing artist anyway, so that absolutely makes sense.
Yeah. The last time we had her up here, she actually mentioned about how challenging it was to do the chair on the cover of Trials. I mean, she went into some details about it. I'm like, whew. I mean, she was talking about, what was it? She was talking about like hours of it and for weeks messing around. I'm like, good gracious. I said, you lost me when you said hours of it. I'm like, nope. I'm too impatient. I'd rather just write, and I'll let someone else do the art if nothing else. I'll do the writing and the editing and the formatting, the proofreading. I'll do all of that.
Editing, I use AutoCrit, and I swear by it. AutoCrit is amazing. It doesn't change anything for you. It literally just makes you a list, and here's what you need to look at. Change it or no, it's up to you. And it'll pull out your repeat words and your adverbs and your crutch words and anything else you can think of. And at the end, you'll be ready to throw it across the room for real. Like, you will be so angry at AutoCrit, but it's because it's good at what it does.
I use basic Grammarly, and it gets on my nerves. I get frustrated because a sentence be looking so good. I'm like, okay, perfect. And I'll scroll down, I'm typing some more, and all of a sudden a thing pops up, a little red thing, lets you know that you got 1, 2 errors, whatever, and they'll see an error. I'm like, what did I do? Did I spell something wrong? I scroll up and there's the yellow lines. I'm like, oh my God, I just fixed this structure already. And I got to rearrange the words, and I'm like, oh, I get so annoyed. But it's getting to where I'm so on top of it now on my sentence structures where Grammarly doesn't seem to find the troubles as much. But the thing that really gets on my nerves about Grammarly is I can actually have a book where everything's done. And I can be away from it for a couple of days, and I can get on there, or during that time period, I'm still proofreading. And a couple of days later, it'll have errors all the way across, different things. I'm like, why didn't you tell me this when I was on it? So now I got to cut back through. And so, yeah, just like with Stephanie James, before I sent Crossroads, I actually left it alone for 2 or 3 days. So basically, she should have had the book sooner, but just to make sure Grammarly didn't do that again. And I'm like, okay, let's make sure it ain't going to do it again. So, yeah.
I was done with Grammarly when it told me that camouflage was not a real word.
I also had a Grammarly nightmare. I was writing a story, I can't remember which one at this moment. I think it was my novelette, Damn Ernie. But I was using the term old people, and it kept changing it to, like, elder individuals or something. I'm like, no. They're old people.
I'll ignore that stuff.
Yeah. I'm like, so I love you old people, but you know who you are.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I get a final copy, there are going to be some gold lines. So when anybody was to ever go back and look, some of the gold lines will be intentional. But if you were to ever edit behind me, take a note and contact me and let me know, because some of it I will leave intentionally because it doesn't like certain words. It does not like for you to use, crap. I should have made a list of it because I was actually going to talk about it tonight and I knew I should have wrote it down. I can't remember. Maybe it'll come to me through the program. But there are certain words, it's not that it's incorrect in the structure. It just doesn't. And I got on Google one day because I'm like, okay, this is confusing me. What's going on? And Google specified that some words Grammarly will not count in the sentence structure because it confuses it, because it overlaps with something else or something. So you have to look past that. And I was like, okay, so I'm just going to ignore and just, because it's not like it's going to show up on your book, So when you get your book, you see gold lines. You'll be sitting there really, why are there gold lines in this book? If that's the case, The Novelist and A Soulless Death would have had quite a few.
Now, I will leave pro writing aid up when I write inside Atticus. I don't write in Word, I write in Atticus. And I can't put AutoCrit into Atticus. I have to take the work and put it into AutoCrit. So I will leave pro writing aid up just to catch misspellings and typos, because my eyes are horrible, and it does not matter how many times I type it will come out TEH every single time. So I leave it up for that reason. But then I put it into AutoCrit and do it that way.
That's one. I don't feel bad. I actually made fun of myself when I finished Melvin's Labyrinth. I laughed. I mean, I literally laughed because I got it on my Kindle on KDP, and it said you have a couple misspelled words. And there was like 3, and I was like, oh, okay. One of them made me laugh so hard. I think it was hay, or no, it was the. Was it the or hay? I think it was hay. It was HYE. And it had been sitting there for days, and I had been going through this book. I'm talking fine-tooth comb, like trying to make sure and I just kept looking past that, and I'm like, wow.
So dyslexia. I have this thing with my eyes where there's holes at the back of my eyes on the inside, obviously. But I can see on each side of something, but not directly in the middle. So every single time it'll come out TEH. I don't know why, it's just but anyway, it does. But mine are very dialogue heavy, Marlowe Rose and Bubble Fox Hollow. And in Bubble Fox Hollow, the kids range in age. Well, the first book was 5 to 12. Second book was 6 to 13. Kids don't talk the way adults do. And so Pro writing aid, none of them. They do not like my dialogue because I'm going to write it like the kids say it, not like
Yeah, exactly.
trendy crap, but I'm going to talk like a kid. So that's another problem that I run into with that. They're all very dialogue heavy.
Now, I was wondering how many drafts does it take for either of you on a, not necessarily like the young kids stuff, but like Marlowe Rose, and we'll talk about Melvin's too, but
With Marlowe Rose, I wrote it all the way through. Like I said, that's the fastest I've ever written. I wrote it all the way through. I edit as I go. I know everybody says not to do that, but I can't. I can't not do it. I am too OCD not to edit as I go. I have to stop. So by the time I get to the end, most of the major editing is done. But then I go back and I go through it another time for like misspellings and typos and periods and quotation marks and things like that. Then I go through it again for any kind of structure issues. Now, when I say go through it again, I don't mean I'm rewriting it. I mean I'm literally just reading and going through it. Then when I get all of that done, it's gone through autocorrect, it's done all the things, then I do a read aloud. I put it on Speechify and have Speechify read it. Because my voice, I'm going to ignore anything, I've heard it so many times in my head that I'm going to skim over mistakes. So I put it in a voice that would be opposite of mine and listen to it. And before I send it out anywhere, I do that last read aloud to make sure I'm hearing it correctly as well. And I look at it while I'm listening. So technically it's not separate drafts, but I do go through it probably 4 extra times plus a read aloud. My story.
I actually can relate with you on that one. As I write, I didn't used to, but I started doing it. I think when I started writing Creepy Tales, I think it was Demonic Crusades book 2. I think when I started writing that, I started editing as I went. Now, I don't go full on, but for the most part, like let's say some stuff starts popping up, I'll come back to it eventually, a little bit later. But yeah, I try to edit it in because it takes away the big chunk, so that when I do the foolproof editing, it's like it's not so much on me, so where I'll get too distracted. Because if I got to go back and re-edit, I got to change this, and I feel like I might accidentally miss something. So by doing a first grade, which this is what I'll call a first grade edit, which is like more or less what I see and what I know, kind of as I'm going through it, and then I'll come back later when I finish and do a full read and touch up again. And then my third round is where I'm editing fully, where I'm basically looking for the editing. And then my fourth is where everything should be pieced together and I'm reading it one more final time to be sure everything is legit as I'm formatting and all that. So yeah, I probably take these books through a 4 round of read, sometimes even 5. Melvin's Labyrinth, I think I probably went over it 6-7 times. So you're talking about a 500-page book being read 5, 6, 7 times. Because I wanted to be sure.
Book 1, I was so sick of reading book 1 that I could have screamed. I knew it practically by heart by the time I got done. I chilled out a little with book 2, but book 1, I was so sick of hearing it. Now, but the read alouds, I swear by. Even when I'm doing the chapters, when I finish a chapter, I read it to Miles. A, I'm going to catch mistakes. B, he's the right age group, and he can tell me, wait, what does that mean? Or that doesn't make sense. And I can fix it right then. So he's getting a shout out. He watches TikTok way too much. So I do those read alouds, and at the end I have Speechify read it to me. And I swear by that because I catch so many little nitpicky things that way.
Yeah. When I read Melvin's Labyrinth the second time, I was still enjoying it. But when I got to it the third and the fourth time, I'm like, oh, I'm tired of my own book. Same thing when I did Demonic Crusades book 2, because that was another large book. That was a near 1,000-page book. And I read over it probably 3, maybe even 4 times with it. So, yeah, reading all that, I'm sitting there like, oh, my God, I'm so tired of this.
I have yet to read book 1 again because I was so sick of it by the time I got done.
This one right here, for me, it's tiny, right? It's a little tiny book. But I went over this Mother Lover so many times. I got so tired of writing it. And by the way, nobody buys this one. Like, I put in so much effort. Like, nobody even knows this thing exists. It's been on my table for like 2 years now.
He even complained about it in person how many times he went over it.
It's true.
Well, here's the hard part too. When you, as an author, doing your own material, okay, you write your own stuff, you edit your own stuff, you're formatting, you're foolproof reading it. Okay, now you got to turn around and promote it. So it's like, oh my God, I don't even like my books anymore.
I would rather
So
do the 7 jobs
that's hard.
of writing and formatting and editing and all the things day after day after day than to market the books. I can market everybody else's books. I can tell you all about everybody else's
Oh,
books.
wait.
Love marketing.
You got a haircut.
Yeah.
Yeah, somebody got a haircut.
Yeah, Jeffrey got his ears lowered.
Yeah, sure did.
Yeah,
I'm terrible about talking about my own. They ask about Bubble Fox Hollow, and usually the most they get out of me is it's 5 cousins that end up in a magical land. So, yeah.
After a few days, though, and the good thing about writing multiple books, so when you've been, like, for Melvin's Labyrinth, which I've kind of chimed down, so I don't mind bringing it back into the works of talking about again, just like with A Soulless Death, I'm excited to talk about it again because I haven't read it in a long time, and I'm going through it and I'm editing it, and I'm sitting over there going, people gave me 4 and 5 stars? They definitely loved the story because it sure weren't the writing because it was horrible. I mean, I wouldn't, let me rephrase, I wouldn't say horrible. I say horrible now because I've changed so much as a writer. It's, you know how it is. If you go back and look at the earliest, so it's like going back and looking at some of the first stuff you've ever written. To you, when you look at it then, back then it was cool. But when you look at it after you've learned so much and gained so much, it's like, So, yeah. I mean, it's not that it was horrible, but it was just not written in the best manner. And I'm like, ew. And I tried to put too much explanation in everything in that book. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to tone down on that. So the re-editing for this book for A Soulless Death is going to be phenomenal. I mean, it's spooky. I was editing it today, and one of the kids was out in the yard from one of my family's friends and such. They were using the pool, and I didn't know anyone was out there. And I was actually on an editing scene where it's a scary section of the book where there's a child in the room of this man's house with a sheet covering the child on the bed. And about that time where the child jumps off the bed to come running towards him, the feet don't match the child. It sounds like something huge. And about that time I hear a child giggling. And I'm like, what the? I'm like, no. I went out the door and turns out there was a kid was out there in the pool. I'm like, oh my God. I thought I lost my mind. I'm like, oh no.
You're talking about the explaining or the details or whatever. That's one thing I can say the middle grade fantasy has helped me with because you can't tell 7 to 10-year-olds about a world. You got to show them, or you're losing them. And so I had to really dig in, and that is the one thing I've had the most compliments on and the most mentions in the reviews of is my world building. But that was why I had to like put myself back in that what I would have wanted to see at that age, because it's not going to do me good to tell them. They're not going to listen to that. I got to show them. So that helped me a lot.
That's what I did with Demonic Crusades and pretty much any of my books. I try to think of what the reader wants. Some of it, I'm going to leave open. For example, I'm not going to always, in every chapter or so, explain what someone's wearing. Unless it has to be explained.
Yeah.
I won't explain what they're eating unless it has to be part of the story. For example, I might, once in a while, like what they're having at their dinner table. But most times, like if they're eating, I might not. I'm kind of leave that to the readers. I want you to use your imagination and, But some things, for example, like if I'm going to base on like the novelist in the lake house. Okay, when I wrote that, I said to myself, you better make sure this lake house is explained in good depth. Because you want your readers to feel the vibe of this house. You don't want to say, okay, it's a nice 2-story lake house. It's got some windows, blah, blah, blah. It's got a living room, and you know what I mean? You want to go into a little bit more. So I was explaining the wall structure a little bit, the tiles, the type of flooring, and stuff like that. So I kind of went into some detail, but also left a few things open so you can also jump your imagination in there. So I try to do that as a writer.
That's one reason mine are so dialogue heavy is the kids do a lot of the explaining through their dialogue of what they're seeing. And that way I'm not just info dumping, About the only time I mention food is when Cooper, Miles is Cooper in the book, is always hungry. So he's always talking about something to eat, but that's about it.
Yeah, sounds like a growing boy to me.
Yeah.
What else did I kind of got distracted. I got attacked by a killer hand.
I was not being distracted. I would never.
Huh?
Ever.
How many Soapy Sally books do you plan to write in the future? I know you got 2, correct?
It depends. I've got 2 published and 2 coming. But the 2 coming are novellas. They're a little smaller. They're more like 15 to 18K. And they're literally just, one is Halloween, one is Christmas. According to this one over here, we're doing 10.
Okay.
I feel like I'm going to do it till it doesn't make sense to do it anymore. I want it to grow with them, but when it gets to the point that it feels forced, then I'm done. You know.
Got you. Yeah.
And I'm starting to feel that way when I did the Marlowe Rose, and I think it helped tremendously. You hush over there. When I did the Marlowe Rose, I was starting to feel a little burnout on Boba Fox Hollow, but that helped tremendously because when I finished it, then I turned around and I did all of Halloween. It's still got to be edited, but I, roughly got it in there, and half of Christmas. So it's like I don't know, gave me the excitement back a little bit for it.
Yeah, when I did Crossroads, I feel like I'm kind of glad Stephanie came back to me again because she had asked me a couple months ago, and I didn't feel up to it at that time because I felt like my writing might drag everyone else down. Mm-hmm. But after I wrote Melvin's Labyrinth, even though no one had read it when I agreed to do the book, I felt it in my heart. I said, you know what, I feel like my writing is, because I sat back down and read some more of it again, despite how many times I've read it before. But I kept looking through it and I said, you know what, maybe I'm ready for this. I said, you know what, I'll wait until she comes to me again. If she comes to me again, I'll go for it. If not, I'll come to her next spring or so.
Yeah.
And she ended up contacting me again about it, but she also said, she's like, no pressure or anything. I just want to let you know if you do, I just want, I forget all of what the conversation was about.
Yeah.
And I contacted her. I said, you know what? Because I said, listen, I'm going to do it. I'm going to try. And honestly, I'm glad I did it because I felt like Crossroads gave me another push, I guess, of morale in my writing. Mm-hmm. And, and it gave me that opportunity. I said, you know what? I wrote these big, thick books. Let's see if I can write a short novella and pull it off without going overboard, without it stretching over. Can I actually do this? This was my next challenge. And apparently, I think I can. I answered that challenge. I think I can.
That's what I told her.
I got to have readers to read it and tell me what they think first before I go,
That's what I told her initially, is that I couldn't do horror, that I didn't even like to read horror, much less write it. And so then when she come the second time, she said, I've got the perfect ones for you to jump off of. Here they are. And it took me out of my comfort zone a little. That may sound weird to some because it was still fantasy and it was just YA instead of middle grade. But in middle grade, you have to use certain words that you can't use in YA. You got to, I don't want to say dumb it down a little. That's not what I mean. But there's some words you can use in YA that you can't use in middle grade. And so in some ways, it took me out of my comfort zone. And that, I think that's what, renewed the excitement or whatever for it.
Yeah.
If it makes you guys feel
what I'm doing with my next major project. I'm going out of my comfort. Well, I wouldn't say comfort zone, but I'm going into that other wretch, back into the dark romance table over with the psychological, and I'm actually going to go even darker with this, where it's more real life dark things, not just a little bit of fantasy tech involved, like the Novice in the Lake House was. Because the Novice in the Lake House was like realistic, but then it was fantasy-like. If you know, you'll know what I mean if you were to ever read that book. But with this one that I'm currently writing, which I got on the shelf for now, I'll come back to it later, it's going to be more or less based realistic, mind-shattering, where the mind can only take so much abuse before it finally, so it's going to be challenging. And the main character in this one is going to be a female role. So my other books, I've had female main, but I've always been right beside a male main. So now it's basically going to be a female on her own. Mm-hmm. I mean, there will be a male character she can fall in love with, but female's still going to be the main one. So this is the challenge for me. I want to see if I can step up and do it. If women can go, hey, you did good. You wrote a good female character. Congratulations.
That's how Sophie Sally got finished, is that I started out writing a fictionalized memoir type thing about my 30-year marriage to a narcissistic addict. And it got heavy. And so I would go to Sophie Sally and I would write in Sophie Sally. And then I would go back to it and it got heavy and I would go back. So anyway, Sophie Sally is out with 2 books now and 2 more to come. And that one's still sitting on a shelf somewhere. So eventually it will get done, but today's not that day.
Sometimes writing in that particular, it's very therapeutic, but it's very difficult to do.
Yeah.
And I had a similar experience it wasn't like as personal as what you're saying, but I wrote a book called Without Saying Goodbye. It's about the troubled teen industry, and
I've got that one. I haven't read it, but I've got it.
I went down this crazy rabbit hole that took like 2 years, and it was so depressing to watch these documentaries and to listen to these survivor stories, and it was so difficult. Although, to be fair, when I actually wrote the book, it happened really fast. I already knew like 90% of the story when I took, so it was one of the fastest books I've ever written. I just ran right through it, but leading up to it was so taxing. Worth it if you ask me. Some people still say to this day that it's my best book, but
yeah, same. Like when I would feel myself, you've got to put yourself back there in that place to write that. And when I would feel myself not being able to pull out of that place, that's when I had to set it aside. And like I said, it'll get done someday, just not right now.
Yeah, I had to do something similar with Melvin's Labyrinth. Melvin's Labyrinth, which is crazy how this book turned out to be instead of the original course. It's like you set sail on a course to go across the ocean, you got your destination, and you get midway and go, change course. I found another course that's actually going to get us there quicker and safer. And it turns out you look out in into the direction, you'll see you would have been through more hurdles. It wouldn't have been as successful. The direction I took Melvin's Labyrinth, I think, is way more successful, even though it triggered some things in my mind and brought back some old memories that I've been trying to store away, even though I can't. But also, at the same time, Melvin's Labyrinth actually helped me a little bit with some of the struggle. I was typing this book, working on this book, and I'm sitting there thinking, wow. I mean, I was telling myself this, but I just couldn't never listen to myself. But as I'm writing this book, I'm sitting there thinking, maybe this could help someone else. I mean, it was helping me, but it was also giving me that chance to possibly speak to someone who could be going through some depression or a loss of a loved one like I went through. And so, because Melvin's Labyrinth isn't just an exciting book with an exciting story. It's got, Marianne will tell y'all as well, she may remember it. It's got its moments where it speaks to you in a certain rhythm, if that makes sense, because it's so realistic, even though it's a sci-fi thriller, fantasy, but it's got so many turmoils where people go through so much things like we all go through or someone we know go through. So it kind of speaks to you in terms where I think this book could reach out to somebody and help someone in the long run, maybe. I try to think that way.
Yeah, absolutely.
absolutely. I love those types of books, by the way, where you can weave realism into fiction, any genre, really. If you're clever enough, you can do it just fine. But it helps you with overcoming certain difficulties, I guess. And I think the best writers write that way.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that. That AI summary finally popped up. I was wondering what happened to that thing. It's late. If anybody in the comment section has any questions for these wonderful authors, go ahead. Now's the time to hit the comment section. We'll address any of that stuff. What is your next project?
Finishing, well, obviously, editing the Halloween novella, finishing the Christmas and editing, and getting both of those out. And then we're on to book 3. So, and if I'm burnt out, I may explore some of Stephanie's again, and see whether there's something to branch off there and talk to her about it, because I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot.
It's been a great experience. I've said a couple of times on this, I was one of the ones that came in on my own road, I guess, backward, because Ruin was almost done.
Yeah.
And we backtracked it and then pushed it into the world, which was a very different experience from what you guys did, which is why I always joke and say I was the stepchild of the Stephanie James Publishing.
Yeah. I was kind of like the distant cousin, because everybody's in that little circle of books, and mine are way over here in left field.
Yeah, absolutely.
But she did a here, I don't know, a week or so ago, 2 weeks, whatever it was. I don't know. I can't keep up with the dates. She ran all the books in that line for FREE. And Marlo Rose got 68 downloads. So hopefully some reviews will come out of those 68 downloads.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I also had some great numbers with Ruin when it was as well, when it was available as well.
Yeah.
And I'm still waiting for some more reviews.
Right.
If you haven't already written them, you know where to go.
Exactly. Yeah, I put Sophie Sally book 1. I had it on permafree for a while leading up to book 2, and like Mia did a contest with it, and I had over 300 downloads in 24 hours off of her contest.
Wow.
My reviews have only picked up by maybe 2. But if anybody's
Yeah, a
got
lot of
TBRs
them
like
haven't
mine,
read it
I
either
get
yet.
it because my TBR is so huge, and I've got so many books in there. I want to read them all. I just don't have time. So I'm hoping that's what's happened. Is it's just kind of sitting there in somebody's TBR, and they just haven't had time to get to it yet.
That's what I'm doing right now. I got several lined up on my Kindle thing right now. I'm actually reading one still. Matter of fact, my reading slowed down a lot since I started all this editing and everything, and started working on the Crossroads. It's messed up my reading a bit, but I'm still. As a matter of fact, I read a little bit today. I was working on Your Move. I was reading that one, which should have been the first one I read, but it don't hurt nothing because to me it won't, because it's not really like it's classified that you have to read them all in order. It helps,
Yeah.
but. Yeah. And in retrospect, the one that I wrote, Crossroads, is going to be, technically speaking, in the world of the chronological storyline, mine will actually come first in that series because it's
Same
the
with
prequel.
Marlowe Rose.
But
Yeah, same with Marlowe Rose. Like if you jumped into mine without reading Liam's Through the Rift first, you might be a little lost on who some of the people were in the world until you got farther into it. But it can be read alone. It doesn't have to be, and it probably shouldn't be, but it can be. Because I do explain a little of who they are. Like, I don't just leave you hanging completely. But like, there's a couple references directly back to Liam's book that if you hadn't read his, you wouldn't pick up on, things like that.
yeah, I have to follow it series, which I haven't planned. I want to write it, or I want to read everything that everybody's put out through Stephanie James, just because I want to. And I actually got some other ones on there. As a matter of fact, it's right in front of me. Hold on. I have, let's see, other than the Move series, I got the manuscript, I got 21 Days and Puzzling Puzzle. Those are some that I bought around during the time period when I was reading the other ones. But
every one that she's released at any time for FRE, I've got on my Kindle. And I did start reading in the Move series a little, even though I'm a scaredy cat, but it'll be fine. They're short. But it's like you said, it's just the time. If I can put it on Alexa and have Alexa read it to me while I'm doing something else, I can get more read that way than any other way. Or in speech power.
You could handle Crossroads. I don't think I made Crossroads as scary as I was wanting to, because I didn't know, because I read everybody else's book and their books was in a certain concept. So I was afraid to go in the route that I was gonna go in. I'm like, no. Mine's gonna be too dark. Let's chill it down. Because I was so excited to write about the Crossroads legend, the legends and the myths of the Crossroads. And I started thinking, I said, you know what? We'll write another version for ourselves later, which I already had in mind. And the one version that I had that popped in my head just went so well with those other books. It fit the criteria. And it's all because of Shay. I had an idea of reading Mike's next move. But when I got to Shay, there was a character she left completely open. I mean, she mentioned him, Uncle Fred, about how he handed Jack the board for around the holidays. And I'm sitting there, as soon as I was reading, I started thinking to myself, Crossroads popped in my head. And I was like, Shay, please don't explain anything else about this character. Don't go into no details. And she left it wide open. I'm like, yes. I remember I didn't even finish that book. I stopped for a moment and immediately contacted her. I contacted Kristen. I contacted Clarence. I contacted Stephanie James. I told everybody, has anybody wrote anything on Uncle Fred? Fred Wilbur. And everybody kept saying, not that I'm aware of. I was like, yes, he's mine. I'm done. I got it. I contacted Stephanie again. I contacted her later. I said, I got you a book. I'm ready. But I'm going to finish reading these other ones first and get some more depth on the stories and the characters. So I won't go in. I don't want nobody to sit down and read mine and go, man, did he even read the others? Yeah.
Yeah, like, even though I jumped off the very last sentence of Liam's, I'm glad that I read the back 40 and that one all the way through, because there's so many little details I would have missed if not.
Oh, yeah. That's why I paid real close attention. I read everything. I actually was going to take notes, but the book's being so short, so it really, I mean, if these were like 300-400 page books, yeah, I would have been over here writing notes down and stuff. But, being short reads the way they were, I remember everything from Ruin. I remember Mike's book so well. I still remember all the fine details in that book. Kristen's, Shay's.
Yeah.
Even what I'm reading now with Danielle's, I'm having no troubles remembering any of the littlest things. It's like these stories stuck with me, and they were just so fascinating. I don't know why. They just were so fascinating and fun.
I took a few notes, but it was mainly on things like who was who and what their names were. Because in fantasy, you've got some weird names, and so stuff like that. But one thing I did do is I actually listened to it and looked at it, read it at the same time, because that way my focus was all on the book and not over here and over there. And because squirrel brain is real. So yeah.
Ain't that the truth? What was I about to... Oh, yeah, I can't fully recommend... If you don't like scary stories, Ruin might not be... There are scary moments. It's not fully a scary story, but there are moments that you're like, oof.
I think I have it. I think that's one of the ones she ran at one point, and I got it then. Pretty sure.
It's kind of like with Crossroads. I can tell you certain chapters to... Crossroad chapter, for example, it gets chill. Then you get to, and when I mean chill, I don't mean like chilling out. I'm talking about it's bone chilling. Just like the next chapter behind it called The Pale Rider. Those two chapters back to back. That's if you're a soft horror reader. If you're a soft horror reader, yes, those can get you. If you're a hardcore dark reader of horror, maybe not. But then there's one where you get to one called Willa. It's not actually a chapter. It's just a side story that's in the book called Willa. Willa can freak you out as well. So those three main ones can really start to make that rise. If you're not familiar with horror and the littlest things can freak you out reading, those can do it possibly.
Now, I love psychological thrillers. Absolutely love them. But it's just, and there's certain aspects of it, like I can't do clowns. If any one of you've got clowns in your dang books, tell me now, because I can't do it.
I got plans for that in the future.
I can't do clowns. They're creepy.
I have plans. I actually have plans. As a matter of fact, there was a book I wanted to read called When Down, Dream a Clown. I never got around to it. I was actually going to write a screenplay. And what it's about, I don't mind telling people this because this is creepy. Now I don't know if I'm going to go with this because I think this story got taken, so I need to go back and do research. I don't know if it had to do with a clown, but anything that has something close to something, I don't want it. I want to go in a different direction if I can help it. And even if it ain't copyrighted, it don't matter. I still like my own thing. Yeah. But in the dream that I had, it was weird. I don't know why this dream hit me. It was the most bizarre dream. It was like a dream that I was watching instead of me being in it. It was just bizarre, unless I was the clown. I don't know. But these teenagers beat and abused this clown out of nowhere because they thought it was funny. They didn't mean to kill him. They just went because he was a hobo, what they called it. And he was dressed as a clown. He tried to do a gimmick to make a little bit of cash. He was homeless. So he did a clown gimmick. People thought he was... but he was just homeless and he was kind of down on his luck. These teenagers took it in their own hands thinking because they watched it too many times. So they attacked him, hurt him real bad. He ended up succumbing to his wounds. All of a sudden, they started having dreams of this clown. And that's when things started to come into a different direction because it's like their dreams brought the clown into existence. But it wasn't that clown. It was something else. And like I said, the dream was so horrifying, and if I can write the book close to that, I don't know too many people that may not even want to finish that book. I mean, it's going to be, it's deep, dark.
Don't read my collection, The Diamond Highway. There is a short story in there that has sort of like a AI tech clown. So he like takes over people's computers.
Okay, that one sounds kind of funny, though. That actually sounds kind of funny. I might could do that. Now, my mom collected clowns when I was a kid, and they were everywhere. And she had this one huge portrait picture that hung above the couch. That, when I say huge, I mean this sucker was probably as big as I was as a kid, tall. And it was just 4 clown heads. It represented something, I don't know, but it was just 4 clown heads. And so when you would get up in the middle of the night and it's dark, like going to the bathroom or whatever, it was like those heads were glowing in the dark.
Oh, wow.
No, I can't do it. I can't do it.
Yeah.
I just remembered I did make mentions of a clown in A Soulless Death, but he was not an actual clown. It was a person dressed up as a clown. He does this gimmick. Actually, that idea popped in my head thinking of John Wayne Gacy when I wrote this. So it's kind of a John Wayne Gacy. Not that I want to spend him a nod because I don't do those things. Honestly, again, I'm going to say something about me so people will understand this. I love the aspects of storylines like Halloween, Friday the 13th, stuff like that. All that stuff. I love it in movies and novels and stories, but I don't like it in real life, if that makes sense. Kind of like we know how we like to read stories on these serial killers. I can't stand them. I do not like them, the things they did. But I like it if it's only a story, if that makes sense. I love it story-wise. So
Well, it's like trying to figure out their mind.
I will write this kind of stuff all the time, but I don't want to see that stuff on the news. I don't want it in real life. There's a place where everything belongs in a ball called fantasy, where this is just a made-up world. The real world is where I don't want that stuff in it. I don't want to see that stuff in real life. I want it only in books and movies
Yeah.
and stories.
It's like trying to figure out how somebody thinks. Why would they think that way? It's more of a mystery type thing, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree. Although I am a bit of a crime junkie, I do listen to a lot of true crime stuff. But
The true crime stuff. Yeah.
Anyway.
I love stuff like that. I just don't. I don't like hearing on the news. I don't want to read. I don't. Even though yes, I have to. Some of the stories that I've read about. I take some things that I've heard growing up. Some of these, like a couple of kills that was in, or I got to rephrase what I say on here. It's too late now, I guess. Like in A Soulless Death, there was a few things that happened in that book that I actually twisted up a little bit, but some things that I heard when I was a kid that happened in some of these true crime stories, and I'm like, man, because it was so horrifying growing up, listening to this stuff as a kid. I ended up putting some of that stuff in A Soulless Death, and I tell you, it's creepy. It's got some moments to it where, if especially for anyone who's gone through that kind of stuff and may have survived, or they knew someone that gone through it and not here no more. That can be horrifying when you read something like that. Then it can be downright terrifying.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
What do you say we give the exit interview and get out of here? I don't want to keep you up too late. There's a mosquito in here.
I had one in here last night.
All right, Amy. Go ahead and tell everybody where you can be found, what you're up to.
Literally anywhere. I do have my own site. It is bubble-fox-hollow, and the end of a website. Y'all know if I say it, it's a trigger. So I do have them there, and if you get them from there, then you get lots of goodies. That's the only way you get goodies. Sorry, my dog is loud. But literally anywhere you can think of, they're everywhere. I list for D2D, and D2D has pushed it out to everywhere you can think of, the libraries and better. So now Marlo Rose, of course, is either on the Rainforest or KU or with Stephanie James Publishing.
Jeffrey?
Well, we appreciate having you up here, Amy. Thank you very much for coming up here.
Thank you for asking me.
Appreciate talking to you. Appreciate getting to know you better and hearing about your books. And guys, Crossroads, I'll let y'all know more information about that when I hear from Stephanie James. It's got to get edited and such. So once, I'm going through, which shouldn't take long. I'm really confident in my editing. So whoever edited is going to have a fun time. They're going to be like, wow, I didn't have to do much of nothing unless I get caught off guard and they realize, ooh, he thought he was good. But I hope it ain't that way. Oh my God, because if so, that's going to really make me scared to death about Melvin's Labyrinth. But anyway, Melvin's Labyrinth is available, guys, on Dazan. You can get it on paperback, Kindle Unlimited. It's a thick book, but I promise you it's a very emotional read. But it's not just all about heartfelt emotion. It's also got some great, or not heartfelt, but heartache emotion. It's got heartfelt emotion as well. So there's a lot of heroic moments in this, but there's also some downfalls as well. All my other books are available on the Zon, Kindle Unlimited, paperback. And pretty much you can find me here on Book Talk. I do have Instagram and Facebook, but I don't get on those as much as Book Talk, so it's easier to find me here.
Yeah, same.
All right. As for me, check out Redacted Tales, this collection right here. It's got 10 short stories in it. The first story of which is about a creepy doll here, Nora. And this will be turned into a short film soon. We start filming at the beginning of the next month.
I'm sure Mike's thrilled about that.
Yeah. So I'm going to send that directly over to our dear friend Mike. Yeah. Check out Redacted Tales, collection of short stories. Also, this interview will have its second life on the YouTube channel Redacted Tales, where you can find some of the stories narrated from this collection and other stories from our dear author friends. Mike is on there, Shay is on there, and a ton of other interviews. Please check that out on YouTube, Redacted Tales. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Thank you, Amy. You're the best. Thanks for everybody that showed up. And good night.
Later. I'll take it easy. Everybody be safe. Have a good last
Good night,
few
y'all.
moments of the weekend.